Hey guys, we're out here with the 1947 Ford 8N again. Today we're going to be putting some old parts on it and some new parts. So I did a quick cleaning of our carburetor and I decided that I wasn't going to tear it down and rebuild it. It is an aftermarket carb, so I'd rather just save it, see how it works, and not rebuild it if I don't have to, just because I do know that some of these carb kits that you can get nowadays for them, they tend to leak. So I want to see if this thing's going to hold as is. If not, then we'll rebuild it. I cleaned out our petcock and the sediment bowl, made sure that was all nice and good, and I'll show you some clips of that. And then we got a bunch of new parts that we're going to be putting on here, as well as checking our radiator. So I'm just going to flush some water through it, and we'll see if it's going to leak anywhere. We're gonna test fit the fan belt that I got. I already know that I'm gonna have to take it off again because I am gonna buy a new bracket for our alternator here. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of jump into this a little bit, see what parts we can get put back on today, and then we're gonna go from there. All right, guys, so here's our carb, and like I said, it is a Zenith carburetor. I do believe these are aftermarket. So like I said, this thing has been replaced, and because of that, I kind of want to see if I can salvage these gaskets, mainly this one that splits the venturi from the bowl on this, because that seems to be the most problematic part with rebuilding any of these carburetors, is this gasket always tends to leak. So I'm hoping that I can just throw this in my ultrasonic, clean it up a little bit. I may pull this valve off right here, just depending on how much, how cruddy it is. If the ultrasonic cleans it up well, then, you know, I won't do that, but otherwise, we'll throw this in there. We'll see how well it cleans up. If it's going to clean up well, then we'll just throw it right back on the tractor when it's all clean. We're also going to throw this in there. It's not too dirty, but I'd rather just clean it since we already have it off, and we have it in here, and we have the ultrasonic ready to go. So we got our ultrasonic here, and this is just a cheap one from Harbor Freight, but you want to know what? This thing has worked wonders. Anybody that has firearms or anything like that, or likes to work with old milsurps, I would highly recommend getting one of these from Harbor Freight. They're like 80 bucks. They work awesome. It's definitely not as good as, you know, a higher quality one that you're going to get, something bigger that, you know, a shop or something's going to have, but it definitely does the trick. So we're going to drop this guy in. You can see the corrosion that we have here. So we'll drop that in there. And then we're going to take our carb, which this is not going to fit perfectly, but we're just going to take our carb and drop that in as well. We're going to make it work. We're going to take our little glass bowl here and we'll drop that in as well. Okay, and so we're probably going to end up running these on a few cycles, so I'll have to shift them around a little bit. I know it's not going to fit perfectly on there, but just to keep anything from really popping out. And so we'll set our time. We're going to set the heat on it. We're going to let it run. Okay, so I've ran it through 3 cycles. I think the Ultrasonic's done just about everything that it can. So we're gonna take this thing now and we're gonna scrub it by hand. I'm gonna go do a quick rinse on it before we do that. I think I'm gonna let this air dry, and then I think we'll go put it back on the tractor and we'll see how it works. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take out our this old radiator.
Ready to take sail, swept by current, swallowed by wave. Take heed, they'll say, no, no, no need to get out, just stay on a lovely holiday.
Clamps, because why not? And we'll set this hose to the side just so if we need a spare, we'll have it. So now we're going to take our gallon jug here. We're going to pour some water through and just see what comes out of the radiator. If it looks clean, seems to hold, then you know, we'll go from there. We got a radiator flushed and we got our new hose on. So I think our next step is probably going to be to throw our pitcock back on. All right, let's get this pitcock back in. Okay guys, so I've discovered something. I have this air filter here, which seems to be correct for the year. This is a 47, so this is the first year of the 8Ns if I'm not mistaken. And so for the first year of them, they did have these air filters. And so I was looking at it, and this is definitely a hood from a later model. At very least, this little door up here for the air cleaner is newer. So the issue I'm running into is there's supposed to be a mounting bracket somewhere around here. There is one hole here for it. However, there was this weird battery bracket that was put in, and it's in the way of the air cleaner. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is take this off, possibly move it over, and then from there I should be able to mount it at least with this one hole, and then I'm hoping that the hose will kind of hold it in place. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what else I can do about that. I think that's gonna be a problem for a different day. I think I'll have to figure out what size bolt this is first. Do a little more research, I think, and then we can kind of figure out a plan from there. But definitely gonna have to end up moving this bracket if I want to use this original air cleaner, which I would like to. And it does look like it's an oiled filter, so but we can still get our carburetor installed, and do some of the other stuff that we need to do. Okay guys, we got our carburetor here. I cleaned it up, and I think I'm just gonna try to run it as is. Hope it works. If it doesn't, you know, we'll do the rebuild on it. We'll pull it apart, we'll really get this thing clean, but I'm gonna see if it's gonna work as is. So let's get this back on.
Come take a look what we got right here, 'cause I can make it all disappear. I'll turn you out with this light of hand, baby, you're ready for my tricks again. Hey, hey, it's magic. Hey, hey, it's magic.
Okay, so we got our carb on. Now we're gonna throw on our intake hose. Nice and shiny intake hose. Maybe. Gotta figure out how this thing's gonna run. I'm missing something here, but this does not seem to want to fit, which kind of sucks because this is a pretty expensive piece. So again, I guess I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board and see what kind of options we can run for an air filter on this. Well, either way, I think we can get our fuel line hooked back up, so let's do that. So now let's take this alternator off, and we're gonna test fit our new fan belt. It's quite janky. You can see that's all just kind of welded and whatnot. And there are better bracket systems that just go right up here off the top of the head. So I'd much rather use that. Now, let's see. And that right there, guys, is precisely why I wanted to swap this thing out. It's pretty bad. Maybe we'll keep it as a spare just in case if we need it in a pinch, but now it's just a matter of getting this back on. After finicking with this thing for a while, I think I'm probably just gonna have to wait until I get my new mounting hardware to test fit this belt. I'm pretty sure it's gonna fit just fine, but leaves me kind of at a standstill as far as what else I can get done today. I still have to order a few electrical parts for this thing. I still have to get the new battery and a handful of other things for it, but I'm kind of thinking maybe we can start taking this wiring off and we can do something with that. Alright, so we're gonna start by taking this off. This wire back. Alright, so what do we have here? I'm not sure what this goes to, but we're going to take it off because I don't think we're going to need it with the new system we're going to have. Might as well take these battery wires off. 1/2 inch. Let's go over to the other side. So we're over here on the other side, and we have a fair amount to disconnect over here. Oh, the wire wasn't even connected on this side. That's good. So we're gonna pull all of this stuff off. We may have to revisit this, come up with a new tactic on that. That's all right, let's move on. All right, so first, let's see if we can't take this off from our starter switch. Yeah, that was solid. And we have this little toggle switch here, which looks like it's been flipped around a little bit. Let's see if we can't get this thing turned over. What are we dealing with up here? Wires running everywhere. This might be the worst part of this tractor, guys. to get this bracket off. Unfortunately, I don't have a 3/8 breaker. So, oh, that was far too easy to take off. I'm glad I checked. Looks like there's another bolt that's missing. So, looks like I'll have to find a few replacements. Okay, so I think I've done about everything that I can do today on this. We've stripped the wiring off. We replaced our radiator hose. We did confirm that the radiator doesn't have any leaks, at least while it's not pressurized. We will find out. As you can see, the radiator is pretty beat up in some spots, but seems to be holding just fine. We're gonna buy the new bracket for our alternator here, and I do have another alternator, and I may see if that one's better. Just gonna have to kind of take a look at those. We got our carb back on, however I do have to figure out the air cleaner situation. I think I'm gonna look and see if I can find a different battery mount, something that's a little cleaner. Yeah, I just wasn't overly happy with how that one was sitting in there. We got quite a bit of the spare wiring taken off of here, stuff that didn't really need to be there. And I'll show you that in a second. It's quite the jumbled mess. If I had to guess, I think the electrical was probably the last thing that needed to be done on this thing before it would run. But yeah, so we'll go over, I'll show you that electrical stuff. So here is our battery mount. This is what we were dealing with. Not a huge fan of that, and I'm certainly no expert, but I don't think that's how our wiring is supposed to look. Nor is that how these mounting brackets should be looking. Yeah, so we're gonna get all this stuff replaced and make it nice and pretty. Okay guys, so today's project ended up being a pretty jumbled mess. We weren't able to get this guy on, and if any of you guys can help me figure out why we're having that issue, basically it's wanting to run straight through where our exhaust is running. And also I want to figure out if I need to run this original air cleaner, or if there's another option. If you guys know, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, next video we're going to be doing a bunch of new electrical work on this. I think I'm going to buy a new battery mount. We'll have our new alternator mount ideally. And I'm hoping after that this thing will run. But that's for another video, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.